Yeah, sure. You know what? Why not? I need something to do, so might as well. So there's a new dev update out from the League of Legends team. And apparently it's a slightly spicy one. I've seen some people be moderately annoyed at it on social media, which of course has captured my attention because I'm always looking for something to be negative about. It's my whole existence, you see, is I do nothing but be negative about all things all of the time, everywhere. I am reliably informed by sources anyway. So let's do that. Let's watch a dev thing and be relentlessly disappointed in Riot, as I always am. I am curious. I did see on social media that they were confirming that they have rewritten, or they are in the process of rewriting, the bios of Camille and Seraphine, and I'm wondering if they're going to mention anything about that in this particular one. Because Camille and Seraphine, especially in terms of like their story and their lore, I'm still very curious how they're going to dig themselves out of the giant arcane-shaped hole that they've dug for themselves there. So, I don't know. I guess we'll find out. Let's see.
Hey everyone, I'm Andre, also known as Medler.
And I'm Paul, aka Pabro. Today is Thursday, January 30th, and we're back for another dev update. We're going to check in on some of the changes we made for Season 1, and we'll talk a bit more about some of the things coming up in Act 2 of this season, which starts on March 6th.
Jeez, it's Act 2 already. I kept meaning to play the quick play mode to try it out to see if it was like a more sort of friendly, casual experience that I've been looking for from League of Legends for a long time, but I just kind of haven't had time to do it. So that was fucking fast.
We're a bit over a month into the first season of 2025.
Oh, okay. Maybe it wasn't that fast. They said March, So.
And we've been following how changes have been landing closely. We've seen some really good signs and feedback to things like seasonal themes and some of the gameplay changes that we will touch on a little later.
But first, we want to talk about Hextech chests. And more broadly, earning skins instead of buying them. This means we're going to talk a bit more about the business side of League so that we can share more of our thinking and context with you.
Oh, this is going to be good. This is going to be... I should have brought popcorn. Okay, lay it on me, buddy.
Now, our belief as a company is that delivering great experiences for you will lead to great results for Riot. We want to deliver the best experience we can, that you can play forever without spending anything. So that you only spend money when you think we've made something great that you want to spend money on.
Okay.
As a free-to-play game, skins are the primary way League pays its bills. They're what give us the ability to continue to develop the game and wider ecosystem, from adding new game modes to updates to Summoner's Rift, cinematics, live events like Worlds, patch-to-patch balance, and much longer-term investments in League for the future.
Not including not firing 500 people last year. 700. They fired like a 501 batch and then like another 100 and something else. I think it was like a double batch of firings. Like, so yeah, no, it pays all the bills for all the big expensive flashy products, but taking care of the people that work at the fucking company apparently not included in that. And I should say, all of the negativity I'm about to level at Riot here is nothing to do with those two people. Those two people are not the ones who make the decision. Like what Andre is saying there about like, oh, we care about delivering the best possible experience. Yeah, every Rioter I've ever met does care about that. Like that's why they go to work in the morning, is like, I want to make something really cool and I want to have it make people happy in some way. That's the main thing that drives the vast majority of them. But it's not what drives the company, because it never is, because it can't be, because that's not how the economic system that powers this shit is configured. So this is something I've like Tryndamere, Mark Merrill, the CEO of something executive of Riot, one of the founders, was trying that line out earlier as well, right? Like, which was like, oh, well, we need to monetize all of the skins so we can make cool stuff like Arcane, and like, it's such a fucking dishonest piece of shit line from a person who draws six figures. Like, from a person who is so obscenely wealthy because of League of Legends, to say, oh, I mean, we need to monetize because, like, there's no way you can afford... Like, I don't know, you could probably afford kind of a lot if you just fired all your fucking executives. I'm just saying, there's still people working at Riot who, like, were there implicated in harassment scandals. Well, they might have gotten rid of some of the last of them at some point. By gotten rid of course, I mean giving them a golden parachute to go terrorize some other fucking company. But, like, it's all across the games industry, universally, the biggest point of waste, the biggest point of like, spent resources that do nothing and go nowhere, it's executives. It's the executive class. It is and always has been. They are fucking parasites on every part of human endeavor. And especially in the games industry, where they just fuck shit up because they are indecisive, stupid, like, worthless barnacles sitting on the side of work of decent people who actually come to work and do some shit in the morning. So, like, this whole thing of, like, well, I mean, we have to monetize so much, we have to do all of the monetization to pay for the cool stuff that you like. It's like, it's like, if that was actually the motivation, like, if they were actually genuinely really concerned as a company about, like, oh, we need to we need to make as much money as possible and save as much money as possible so we can deliver a great product, then you wouldn't be paying your executives that much fucking money. That's just the end of it. Like, you would not be paying your executives that much fucking money if that was the objective. But it's not the objective because it's a corporation under the auspices of capitalism. The objective is to make as much money as humanly possible. And that argument reverses the actual causation, right? Like, what the people working at Riot want to do is take the money that Riot makes, use it to make cool stuff. You have that cool stuff make people happy. Riot Games, the corporation, sees it the other way around. For Riot Games, the corporation, the purpose of spending a bunch of money on stuff like Arcane, on esports, on, like, whatever live events, cinematics, the purpose of doing that is to ensure that people keep spending money on the game, right? So, like, the argument that's being presented here is the opposite way around from what is actually true, right? It's not that they monetize the skins in order to be able to produce things like Arcane. They produce things like Arcane in order to be able to monetize more skins. They produce things like Arcane in order to ensure that people keep seeking out their product and keep spending money on it. Like, that's what's so fucking insidious about this argument. It's that it's an argument you can believe on a human level, but you can't take the behavior of a corporation as a human thing, because it isn't. Like, the only thing that concerns the corporation is profit. It's literally the only thing that it is, as a system, is capable of pursuing. So you get arguments like that, especially from Tryndamere, which are just, like, they're a load of shit because they are the truth, but inverted, right? And it's very frustrating to see people ever buy into that shit.
The number of people playing League has been pretty stable over recent years, and we're really grateful for that. Our cost to maintain and develop League has also been pretty stable over time, too.
See, theoretically, right, that's the goal, right? Like, is like, oh, okay, we make a product, it makes money, and it pays for itself, and then it's, like, a little bit profitable on top of that. That's fine. We don't need to juice that anymore, right? Like, we don't need to chase it anymore. We have a sustainable product with, like, a sustainable, like, cost of development. That should be fine. We shouldn't need to do anything more than that. But
we have an equally sustainable income coming in to reinvest in the game. However, has been frankly more of a recent challenge.
And that's where free Hextech chests come in. When we initially added them, we wanted to offer additional reward for time spent using something we knew many of you really cared about earning: skins. And for a while, we think that worked well for both players and the business side of League. Over time, though, free chests unintentionally became the primary way to unlock skins.
Oh no! Oh no! How terrible! It's, again, like, I would absolutely buy an economic argument like that, except you pay your fucking executives that much money. Except you make that much fucking profit year over year. It's like, if what Riot is about to do is plead poverty, and, like, oh, it's just not sustainable. Like, no, it's not that it was not sustainable. It's not that it was not bringing in enough money to keep things rolling along. It's not that Riot Games isn't profitable. It's not even that there's a threat to Riot Games' profitability. I can tell you that for goddamn sure. There's no threat to Riot Games' profitability. What there is a threat to the growth of their profitability. Right? And that's the process of enshittification, which we've talked about on this channel before, with, like, that's why they are launching the fucking gacha skins, right? It's not that, like, oh, there's a crisis that requires a solution. Like, it's not that Riot Games is actually at any risk of becoming unprofitable or running out of money. That's simply isn't a possible thing, unless they fuck something up real badly, right? Like, unless they gamble it all away on crypto, which there are people internally at Riot who wanted to do that back when crypto was at its height. That's fun times. Anyway, it's that the income isn't growing enough. And that's the process of initiatification. Like they just said, the number of people playing League of Legends over the past long while has been pretty stable, right? Like, because they've kind of reached their market cap. There is a finite number of human beings on Earth, and there's a finite number of them who are willing to play League of fucking Legends, right? That's part of the point of Arcane. That's part of the point of why they invest in esports, is to broaden and expand the base of people who might be convinced to check out League of Legends as a product and invest money into it. But at some point, you reach a market cap. At some point, you run out of people who are willing to be your customers. And at that point, as a corporation under capitalism, you have to extract more money from the people you already have. You have to, because line must go up. Growth must continue, right? And so if you run out of new people that you can suction a little bit of money out of everyone's pockets, well, now you have to suction a little bit more out of the pockets of everyone who's left. So Hextech chests that give people skins for free and like is just a very well-liked feature that people enjoy. Ooh, can't have that. Because that reduces earnings potential. That means we can't sell that skin to all the people who get it for free, and that means we can't exploit like maximum economic gain out of each individual player, right? That's the process I've been predicting. That like gacha is a symptom of that, right? Gacha is a symptom of we want to extract more money from the people that we already have playing for us. We want to engage the whales. We want to find the people who are willing to roll the full $250 to get the one skin that they're really after. And that's a growth. That's not about sustainability. That's not about maintaining a level of quality. That's about growth. That's about more, because line must go up. Anyway.
And an increasing number of players ended up with substantial skin collections for free.
Oh, no!
This meant that purchasing skins directly didn't make sense anymore to a lot of players, because they were happy just waiting to get something eventually.
Oh, God, I hate it when players are happy. It sucks. It sucks when players are happy and content and aren't feeling driven to spend money in order to, like, oh, wow, what a terrible state of affairs. Can you imagine if a guy like if a company put out a video with one of their developers talking like that during the Bethesda horse armor thing? Can you imagine? Can you even conceive of how people would have reacted to that back in the days when like a microtransaction to buy cosmetic horse armor in a video game was like some of the dumbest shit we'd ever heard in our lives? Can you imagine? Can you imagine people? But nowadays, Riot, again, I'm not yelling at the person. He's delivering the message he's being told to deliver, but Riot putting out this message and expecting people to buy it, to believe it, because they can reasonably expect people to believe it is, oh my fucking God. Honestly. Really. Like taking away like the one avenue that existed to obtaining free cosmetics. Even I'm not a huge fan of Hextech chests, by the way. I'm not a huge fan of randomized rewards in video games. I think it encroaches on like the same manipulative patterns that gambling does, in much the same way that gacha does, right? I'm not a huge fan of it. I'm not a huge fan of these like sunk cost engagement mechanics of like, oh, you have to play the game in order to obtain a key, which you can use to craft a thing. Like, you have to craft a thing in order to do the thing. Like, all of these things that are just hooks to get you to play more and more games in order to fill up a gauge, in order to obtain a resource that can be traded in for another resource that can then eventually... Like, I don't like those. I think those are kind of shitty all on their own as well. But apparently they weren't shitty enough. They weren't shitty enough. They weren't grinding enough money and time out of people's pockets. So now they have to go in favor of something much more extractive.
That did lead to a great player experience, but it was not sustainable for League in the long term.
It did lead to... Riot Games, by the way, and this is just going to be the whole reaction, I'm just going to be ranting about it. Riot Games has always had a motto, basically since day one. Players first. Right? That used to be sort of the company philosophy, and that was something that was genuinely believed, even by people in executive positions once upon a time, right? That was something that was genuinely believed. If we just deliver really good shit to the players, then everything will work out. Like, the money will find a way to work out. We'll find a way to make money. And they were proven right, by the way. Like, League of Legends became monstrously, astronomically profitable so fucking fast. You would not believe the meteor. Like, League of Legends as a game is responsible for much of the rise of the free-to-play model in video games as a whole, which, you know, that's something the company has to answer for, but it worked. They delivered and spent a bunch of time just very, very, very hard trying very, very hard to deliver a good product to people, and people responded to that. It worked when they did have the philosophy of putting players first, right? That's the opposite of what's being described here. It's like, yeah, no, it's great for players. Players really love it. It's delivering a great experience for them. But we're not making enough money out of it, so fuck it. We're axing that shit, right? Like, that's literally what's being said here. I admire the candor. I will say, like, I admire the candor, but I'm just it's depressing that this is the kind of statement that Riot thinks it can fucking get away with putting out there. It's like, yeah, no, you loved it and it was great for you and everyone enjoyed it, but fuck you. Pay us more money. Because you're a little pay pigs and we're not getting enough, we're not squeezing enough funds out of your little supple necks with our hands. So fuck you. Fuck you. We're taking away the thing you like because fuck you. Oh, that's grim. That's fucking grim, man.
So we took a step back to evaluate League's reward systems and realized we needed to make changes to be sustainable for the long run.
Again, just the word sustainability, because to you and I, that word means something, right? To you and I, the word sustainability means, okay, there needs to be slightly more money coming in than what's going out. That's how I fucking run my business, is like the way that I calculate about whether or not my career on YouTube is sustainable is, am I earning a bit more money than I'm spending, right? Can I put a little bit away for maybe saving up for a retirement fund some fucking day? Am I paying my rent and my bills? Am I eating food? Can I go see a movie sometime? Occasionally, right? Do I get to see my family on occasion? Can I feed my cats? That's what sustainable means to me, right? Like, if I have my needs met and I can put a bit of money away for retirement and have some savings and stuff, then that's cool. Like, cool. I'm good. If I had the opportunity to earn $100 million, I don't think I'd like to. I don't think I want to. I don't want to have $100 million. I don't want to. What the fuck would I do with that? I don't need that for anything. I would want to give that away to people who actually fucking need it for something. Keep enough for myself that I can just live my life and retire at age, like, 40 or whatever the fuck I want to do. Fine. But after that, like, it's wasteful, right? That's what sustainable means to you and I, as human beings. To a corporation, sustainable doesn't mean, okay, we can sustain this. Sustainable means the growth keeps happening. The line keeps going up. That's the thing that's being sustained, is the growth of the line. If the line flattens out, even if it flattens out and you are making $10 billion a year forever in profit and, like, increasing with inflation steadily, that's failure. That's not sustainable to a corporation. Only growth is sustainable. That's one of the contradictions inherent to the concept of capitalism, is infinite growth forever in a world which is fundamentally finite. It leads to enshittification, and it leads to business decisions like this one.
We didn't want to go all the way back to the early days of League with no skins earned with playtime at all, but we also realized we couldn't continue giving away as many as we were. We did a number of other things to ensure League's business was sustainable before concluding we needed to give away fewer skins.
Yeah, you introduced the fucking gacha skins. Oh my god. Like, it's so, again, not yelling at the person. He's delivering the message he's being told to, but, like, the fucking nerve of one of the most profitable products in the history of the planet, one of the most profitable entertainment products that has ever been made, that has ever existed, one of the most profitable ones, coming out and pleading poverty and be like, I mean, it's so hard making the economics just work. Like, you know, it's so expensive and we just don't have enough. And, like, you know, we were trying so hard. I swear, guys, we were trying so hard not to have to make this very difficult decision to extract more money from you. But, oh, it's just not sustained. Like, fuck off. Go to hell, motherfuckers. Like, spend 10% less on esports then. Like, cut the salaries of your executives then. Like, if you run as, like, this whole belt tightening of, like, oh, we have to rein things in a little bit and we can't be as generous as we used to be, oh, economic conditions have changed, then, like, I need to see that on your fucking executive class first, right? That should be the concept of players first, right? Like, players first should mean that before you take away an avenue for, like, players to earn paid cosmetics simply by playing the game, first, you cut the salary of all of your executives to make up the difference. And once it turns out, because like that's what it means to explore all options, right, before taking a drastic step, is the bucks, like, it starts at the top, not at the fucking bottom. But yeah, fuck off. Like, oh, that genuinely makes me mad. Like, pleading poverty from Riot fucking Games Incorporated. They launched Wild Rift, and that now is, again, also one of the most profitable mobile games on the fucking planet. Oh, eat shit and die. Like, and I'm not saying that the economics of running a games business on the scale of Riot Games is not difficult. Of course it is. It's a complicated operation with a lot of decisions that need to be made that are, like, not necessarily comprehensible on a human scale, but which, like, sure, yes, absolutely. But this thing of, like, literally standing there and saying, yeah, you guys were getting too much for free and we weren't getting enough money from you. Like, we weren't monetizing each individual player hard enough. Too many players were able to get things that made them happy for free without paying us. And this cannot stand. This is, oh my god, that is genuinely fucking infuriating. Holy shit. Oh my god, Riot's executives can all go to hell.
Skins we could make each year was good for both the business and the player experience, but eventually we ran into meaningful diminishing returns.
For
we
you!
introduced premium cosmetics. We've also explored a lot of other cosmetic content types, and we'll keep trying to do so.
Yeah, you will.
But champion skins are clearly the thing most of you care about more than anything else when it comes to cosmetics. And
again, it's like, yeah, you did. Like, you have been trying to monetize every aspect of the game over the past several years. You have been doing that. I've been noticing that every single aspect of League of Legends has been increasingly more and more and more monetized, because it wasn't enough just to sell a video game and then sell the cosmetics for it. There also had to be a battle pass. There also had to be loot boxes. There also had to be crafting mechanics. There also had to be, and then gambling mechanics. And then team fight tactics comes in and starts, like, the ball rolling on the gacha bullshit. It's like, yeah, you've tried a lot of things because it's never enough, is it? It's never, ever, ever, ever enough, and it never can be, and it never will be. Again, not yelling at the person. I'm just going to point this out multiple times, because otherwise people get pissy at me in the comments, and it's very annoying. It's never, ever, ever enough. There is no form of monetization that Riot Games can invent that will ever be enough, that will ever be sustainable. It can't be, because the line has to go up. And it can't go up by less next year than it went up this year, right? It's not just that the line has to go up, it's that the line has to go up and it can't go less up, right? If there's 1% growth last year, then there has to be 1.1 this year. It can't be 0.9. It has to go up and more up.
obviously, adding pay for power content is a non-starter for us.
Good.
We know some of you aren't interested.
This is one thing I do trust Riot to, like, that'll be the last thing, right? Like, that'll be the last thing that Riot eventually does. That'll be the last thing that they eventually cave on, right before everything goes, like, right before the whole thing collapses in on itself like a black hole. That will be pay for power. I will say that in Riot's favor. I genuinely don't think that they will ever actually cross that line into pay for power until it is literally the last option left. Because I think, like, basically, I just think, like the whole of Riot's design team would quit before they did that.
In the business side of things, or even cosmetics in general, and that others won't believe this isn't about increasing profit year over year. This is about ensuring the sustainable long-term health of League, though.
This isn't about increasing profit year over. What does it feel like to say that? To be forced to say that by your boss? To say that with a straight face? I don't know. Like, again, I don't know Meddler. As far as everything I've ever heard about him from people who do know him is that he's a good guy. Nothing against him. Just the garbage that Riot is making him let out of his mouth is like, this isn't about increasing profit year over year. Like, fuck off. Fuck off. Of course it is. Like, how genuinely how stupid does Riot think we are? Genuinely how stupid does Riot think its own player base is? This isn't about increasing profit, yeah, I mean, oh, really? Okay, sure, yeah, fine. That's why you introduced gacha into the game, was it? $250 for a fucking skin with half the features of an ultimate skin. That's why it wasn't to increase profit year over year. That wasn't the purpose of doing that. Oh, really? That'll come as a fucking surprise to the accountants.
And we do hope this is helpful context for those of you who've been wondering what our thinking was with this change. We want to ensure League remains a great, fully free-to-play game. We believe a change like this, while unpopular, is the right call and allows us to deliver not just on our plans today, but also our plans for League in the future.
And one thing I will say is, I'm sure there was a long debate about this internally. I'm sure there was a lot of rioters who pushed back against this and said, like, we don't fucking want to do that. And I am sure that the ultimatum that they were ultimately given is, well, either we do this or else we do something else that's worse. Like, I'm sure that's what came down from management, is like, either we stop giving away these skins for free and more heavily monetize our player base, or else, like, we're going to start pushing you to introduce pay for power. Like, at some point, like, some fucking executive who's only, like, who can only get hard if they're jerking off with wads of dollar bills, right? At some point, some of them said, like, if not this, then something much, much, much fucking worse. And that's when the development team kind of had to look at that and go, okay, fine. Like that, I'm sure that's the kind of process that went on there, but, like, fuck me, man. Like, dude, this isn't about increasing profits year over year. My eyes are rolling out the back of my fucking skull. Like, that, you can't go on the internet and just say that and pretend like it's true. You can't do that. Like, oh my god.
Now, we'll be sure to give you more context on our thinking behind changes to skins and any other related systems in the future as well. And we're currently doing a lot of global surveying and discussion with players about what is and isn't working.
Yeah, no, they're going to keep a close eye, because this is where the inflection point is going to be, right? They're going to keep a close eye on whether or not people disengage from the game because of this, right? Like, that's the thing they're going to be measuring with all of their engagement metrics. Riot has a sophisticated data gathering operation on this shit. They really do. And they're going to keep a close eye on whether or not doing this actually has a negative impact on the amount of time that people spend playing the game. And they're going to measure whether or not it leads to an increase in revenue. Of course they are. But it's not that they're, like, and it's going to come down just to the cost-benefit analysis, right? Like, does this very unpopular change lead to more people leaving than is made up for by the increase in revenue because people now can no longer grind for a skin that they want, right? And that's all it's going to come down to. Again, giving lie to this bullshit about, oh, it's about sustainability for the we believe this is the right decision. It's not about increasing profit year over year. But the way that you're going to evaluate whether or not the change is successful, Riot Games, is going to be the calculation of, are we making more money by making the players who haven't left more unhappy and extracting more money from them than we would be if we'd kept the players happy by leaving the chest in the game. Like, that's how you're going to measure the impact of this. Whether or not it was worth it, whether or not it was a good idea, is whether or not it brings in more money. That is the goal. That is the stated objective of what the fuck you're doing. It's like, come the fuck on.
Speaking of which, we want to talk about some changes we have coming to Battle Passes. First up, we've got some improvements to the Battle Pass skins. We've heard a fair bit of feedback that those skins don't feel like they're good enough in various respects.
Yeah.
We agree with a lot of that feedback. We're going to be looking to add more distinct visual effects and more pronounced model changes. We're also planning to deviate from a season's theme a bit for some future pass skins, given the risk we otherwise overdo the same sorts of visual appearances and or pushing champions into themes that don't make sense.
That's all reasonable. I have no objection to any of that, because, like, yeah, the free pass skins, the first batch of them anyway, those were... they were free pass skins, right? Like, it was clearly a thing of, like, let's spend as little money on this as possible in order to maximize return on investment. And also because the skins are free, this is also, and that's the thing, this is the thing I genuinely think is reasonable even from a business perspective. If the thing is designed to be free, to be given to players for free, yes, from a business perspective, it makes sense that that thing should then be less attractive, less premium, less good than a thing which you ask the player to actually pay money for. That's, from a business perspective, a reasonable thing. So that's good. Like, good that they're taking that feedback on board. I'm curious to see how that shakes out.
Now, because it takes some time to make or modify skins, those improvements won't be present in the Act 2 Battle Pass skins that you'll see in a couple of weeks. They will, however,
That's
be
also
fully
fair.
reflected in the past skins for Season 2, which starts in May. Additionally, if you don't already own the champion for the Battle Pass skins, unlocking the skin will also unlock that champion for you.
We also want to clear up how skins in the Battle Pass affect the champion's skin cooldown. We don't look at past skins when deciding when a champion is due to get their next regular skin. So if Alistair appears in the Act 2 Battle Pass, he can still receive another skin later this year. Another improvement we're making to the Battle Pass is to the missions that feed into it. Looking at your feedback, certain types of missions are pretty unpopular. We're going to be removing missions that require playing with purchase skins or players who have purchased specific skins.
We're also removing and reworking missions that players were having a hard time completing, like destroy 5 turret plates in a single game, which was hard to complete for many players and impossible for ARAM-only players. And for those of you who play a mixture of League and Teamfight Tactics, we'll be roughly doubling the amount of XP that TFT contributes to the League Battle Pass.
Now, with that said, let's hand things over to Matt and Eduardo to talk about gameplay.
Hey friends, I'm Eduardo Riot Cadmus Cortejoso.
And I'm Riot Froxon. Just as a heads up, it's playtest time right now, so things might be a little loud. But we have a few things to discuss today. First, I want to talk a bit about how some of our gameplay changes we added in January have landed. Let's start by talking about one of the biggest changes that we saw a lot of conversation around, feats of strength. As a reminder, feats of strength were introduced to provide more structure to the early game and defer some of that early game snowballing until after laning phase by moving the immediate power of First Blood and First Turret to later in the game. These were a bit rough around the edges on release, and we made some adjustments to things, like changing the feat of Warfare from First Blood to First 3 kills and nerfing Triumphant Boot stats. They're currently in a stable place we're quite happy with. As for snowballing, our goal was to keep it roughly where it was before Season 1 went live. We've been comparing this game state of pre and post changes based on First Blood, First Turret, epic objectives taken, and game length. As of now, we haven't seen significant changes, and snowballing is roughly equal to where it was at the end of last year. There are still some improvements we'd like to make, of course, but overall, the changes are moving the game in the intended direction. Next up, let's discuss Articon and the Blood Roses he brought to the Rift. Articon was added to provide an objective in the mid-game.
It really is a name that's like, Otacon, I'm trying to sneak around, but my KD ratio is dummy thick and keeps alerting the other team. Shut down.
That has rewards worth fighting for, progresses the game, but doesn't completely blow everything open like a 20-minute Baron would.
I do like, by the way, philosophically, I do like the approach that they've taken with the changes that they've done to the Rift so far. Like I do like that, like, they're very specifically pushing back against snowballing off of early success, because that's definitely one of the most frustrating experiences anyone has ever had in League of Legends, I know, but like even I, back when I played, it was like, oh, someone somewhere on your team fucked up in the early game for understandable or stupid reasons or whatever. They got killed a couple of times, someone who shouldn't have that much gold got that much gold, and now you kind of know the game is fucked, like, unless the other team misplays massively. And so your only option is really just to play hoping that they fuck up, or else, like, play not to lose, hoping that maybe if you can extend things to like stem the flow of like bad news until later in the game, someone's build can come online and switch the balance. It's like, it's not a fun experience when you get snowballed on like that, but it is difficult because like you have to reward someone for doing well in the early games. So how do you do that? I kind of liked the philosophical approach of like feats of strength and the things that they've done. So I genuinely want to kudos to the game designers for trying that. Because that's making those kinds of changes to a game like League of Legends is harrowing. It's scary. Because like if you fuck it up, it's real bad.
We also wanted a way to incentivize teams to fight each other in slower games while not speeding up already fast ones, which is what led to the two different forms. One which incentivizes action, and the other that lightly stalls it. That said, we think Voracious Articon's rewards are too strong in game warping. So next patch, we're increasing the withdrawal time to 15 seconds to give defending players a bit more time to recover after forcing enemies to withdraw. Next up, we have the Blood Roses, which we introduced alongside Articon. After the nerfs last month, we like where Blood Roses are for now, and that they reward teams for proactively controlling these spaces. Another big component of our seasonal changes was the Noxian update to the Rift. We're excited to keep doing these for future seasons, but we definitely want to make sure we're doing them right. We've seen a lot of your feedback around the map feeling too dark, gloomy, or eye straining, and we've got some changes in the works to address these concerns that should be ready with Act 2's release. We're excited about the prospect for new gameplay that the Season 1 changes have created as players continue to learn and adapt to them. Having said that, when trying to add new gameplay to League, especially ones of this size, we're not always going to land it right away. We're trying to strike the balance between making quick changes based on your feedback and giving the changes enough time to breathe while we iterate them to a pod where everyone is happy with.
Yeah,
We've got
that's
more
reasonable.
details breaking down our review of the Season 1 changes in a dev blog out now, so make sure to give them a read.
We also wanted to give a quick update for all you Swifties in our new
Please don't call it that. Please don't call it that. But yeah, it is genuinely harrowing to work on gameplay changes like that for League of Legends. I know a few people who've done it, and it's like, because like players have a expectation that when this shit comes out, it's gonna be good, right? Like, and that's a good expectation for them to have. And as a consumer, that's what you should expect of a product as big as League of Legends. But it's also the complexities that go into designing gameplay for a game like League of Legends, like over 150 champions, God only knows how many visual effects, God, like so many, like over 1,000 fucking skins, right? Like all of the variables that are introduced, all of the variables that exist, especially when it comes to making visual changes to Summoner's Rift, it's like, there's no way to do it right the first time. They're just like, unless you get astronomically lucky, there just isn't. And every single time Riot fucks it up, it's like developers just get yelled at on Twitter in ways that are just not helpful. Like the pressure, this is one of the things I hate about Riot using its developers as spokespeople for the company rather than, I don't know, letting the executives take that fucking heat for 2 seconds. It created a culture, and probably still that culture still exists, of when something displeases you in League of Legends in game, whether it's you did bad in a game where you had a shitty teammate who fed on a champion you don't like or whatever. The response to that is go yell at the developers on Twitter. Like go find a rioter on social media and just be shitty to them. Right? Like it created a culture that it was acceptable to just go online and be shitty to the actual developers who work on the video game, and it frustrates me because Riot Games, like, fucking ask a rioter about gun buddies from Valorant sometime, and like let them tell you. Well, they won't because they're professionals. But if you can get them to, they'll tell you about some of the fucking DMs they received because someone wants the fucking Riot gun buddies so bad. It's like, that's another thing I have a long-standing grudge against Riot for, is the way that it used and uses its developers, its people, as customer service in that way. And like as PR people, which is like, that's not what they're there to. They're not there to be PR people. They're there to be fucking developers. Wheel your executives out. Let them take the fire. Like make them the faces of these decisions and let them take the blame. What the fuck else is an executive for? Except drawing 6-figure salaries while firing hundreds of people, I guess. But, fuck it.
newest queue, Swift Play. We hoped that Swift Play would be at least as popular as Quick Play, and it has far exceeded our expectations. We're currently figuring out how and when to bring it to regions that don't quite have it yet. So far, Swift Play has hit the goals we set for it, with game endings on average 4 to 5 minutes faster than SR. We also wanted to reduce snowballing the rubber banding mechanics, allowing players to hit their full builds more often, and allowing players to enjoy a game of League of Legends with friends of higher skill gaps.
When it comes to balance, we're pretty happy with the early and mid game, but endgame pacing and outlier game lengths are issues we want to address. Swift Play just doesn't hit our goals for the queue when games aren't swift, and everyone is stuck at level 18 trying to close out the game for a long time. We've made some changes, such as minions getting stronger more quickly, tower resistances falling off sooner, as well as making structures slowly burn towards the Nexus, forcing the game to end. This will essentially mean that if a game lasts long enough, the team that can make the most progress towards the enemy Nexus will win. We're also going to be looking at what we can do to improve things like matchmaking or lobby improvements for pre-mades, and we'll let you know if we do anything there.
I really should.
These changes should be live by the time this video goes live. So
I really should try Swift Play. I really should find some fucking time to do it. I've been working on a video that's coming out soon-ish, I think. Which, that ate a lot of my time because of the game that it's associated with. But I do, because I'm sitting here yelling at this shit because I used to love League of Legends as a game, not just as a like a fantasy world, as a story franchise thing. I used to love it as a game, and then the game. I blame the introduction of esports as like a major pillar of League of Legends. The game just became so sweaty and try hard and toxic that it became impossible to just have fun in the game anymore. At least for me, not for everyone clearly, but certainly for me. And Swift play is one of those things that's like, shit, could League of Legends be fun again? Could it be just something I can sit down and do to chill out and relax and not be fucking stressed about? God, that would be nice. So I should find some time. I should find some time to play Swift play. I should try it.
Let us know what you think.
Next, we want to talk to you a bit more about what you can expect when Arena returns in Act 2 of this season. As we mentioned in the last dev update, we want to make sure game modes are something a player can always count on being available.
Hang on, my cat has gotten himself stuck on a platform. Because he knows how to get up there, he just doesn't know how to get down. Isn't that right? Oh, you're a moron. There we go. He has been suitably cuddled as punishment for his failure.
Fun part of each season. For Season 1, we've moved Arena from the Rings of Wrath to the Grand Reckoning, new maps and all. As you can see, we've overhauled all the maps to feel like you're in the fighting pits of Noxus. And we didn't just reskin the maps, we actually made some improvements. Here's a new version of the Koi Pond map. The biggest change you'll notice here is the giant ring that goes around the perimeter of the map, aptly named the Ring, which will help address a lot of the quality of life issues.
That's an intimidating map. Look, all the all the spectators are T-posing for dominance.
This was actually inspired by some player feedback that we read. So shout out to the community for your awesome suggestions, and as always, please keep them coming. We also have a brand new map joining the pool, the Reckoner Arena, which features destructible pillars, which will collapse upon taking enough damage and slightly tweak the terrain. Don't worry though, they're relatively small and you won't obscure your vision.
Another part of Arena we've been working on is progression systems that we're really excited about. Not only do Champion Mastery and the Seasonal Battle Pass both progress with Arena games now, but we also built a new Fame system for Arena. Many of you mentioned that you didn't feel like you had a reason to keep coming back to Arena, so Fame was designed to keep Arena fresh and interesting, even.
Yeah, this is another thing about like the free-to-play model of games, right? Is that thing he's describing right there, that has been the problem for alternate game modes in League of Legends forever, right? Is that players will engage with a mode, oh, it's novel, it's fresh, it's interesting, and they'll be really excited about it for a bit, and then they'll fall off really hard because there's not really any reason for them to go back to that over League of Legends itself, which is monstrously addictive as a product. Like, it really, like, again, I don't like playing League of Legends. I haven't liked it for a very long time, unfortunately. But it is a monstrously successful game because it is very addictive, because it is designed to hook, to engage, and to keep you coming back to play more and more and more. But the problem with creating one game mode, which is main Summoner's Rift, which is so compelling that it drags people in for so much, is that, well, it's really hard to create anything else because people are just gonna keep wanting to go back to the thing that they are addicted to, right? That has been kind of a cross around League of Legends' neck for a very long time, is that its main product is just kind of too addictive. It's too good. It's too compelling. It's too engaging. And it's really hard to get players to spend their time consistently on anything that isn't main Summoner's Rift, and it's a difficult problem to solve. Like, I don't fucking know that I have a solution to that. But hey, like, progression system for Arena, that sounds cool.
After you've played dozens of games, you can gain fame by playing Arena, increasing your notoriety within the fighting pits, or by completing Arena missions for each champion. Just to be clear, this isn't like Swarm where you gain power by progressing. Instead, you'll gain rewards like new augments or match intro visuals that should keep Arena feeling exciting.
You don't gain power, but you gain augments? I'm sorry, that doesn't sound right to me, but you know.
We're also trying something new by skipping cameos this go around and celebrating Arena Noxus style by bringing in the guests of honor. These guests are famous Noxians or Reckoners looking to spice up your fights. Each guest will have a specific rule that they'll apply to the entire game. For example, Mordekaiser will make it so that at the beginning of each round, one player on each team starts combat in the Death Realm. We designed the guest of honor with a lot of learnings from cameos in mind, so each guest should feel like they affect each team equally without being too intrusive or unfair, yet still asking players to learn or adapt to them. They also won't be random either. So everyone in the lobby will have a round in which they can vote on which guests they'd like to invite. Please, as always, let us know how you like them. It also wouldn't be an Arena re-release without some new augments, so make sure to keep an eye out for those alongside the return of curse augments. If you're interested in more details about Arena, make sure to check out the dev blog that just came out today, and I can't wait to see you all in the fighting pits.
All right, we also have a few other updates that we want to share with you all today. We finally got those updated Champion Mastery emotes coming out in March. They've taken a lot longer than we'd hoped. We haven't forgotten about them though. The Blue Essence Emporium will also be making a return at the start of April. And as a reminder, the next Battle Pass will include the increased Blue Essence amounts that we shared earlier in January, which you can also get for this current pass in the form of a one-time mission.
On a different topic, we've got a test of the matchmaking system called TrueSkill 2 coming up. We're going to be trying TrueSkill 2 for Swift Play and ARAM games from late February onwards for a while. We think TrueSkill 2 has the potential to help us get players to a fair and appropriate matchmaking rating much quicker than our current implementation can. Given how important matchmaking is to competitive games like League though, we want to test and verify first before going really broad with it.
One of the funniest things in gaming, one of the absolute funniest things, is people pissing and moaning on the internet because they're upset about skill-based matchmaking. That's genuinely one of the funniest genres of posts. I don't know how prevalent it is anymore, but like there was a period there when like, especially I think it was like Battle Royale high-level players and game streamers were like, oh, it's skill-based matchmaking is killing the game. It's bad, actually. It sucks. And it was so transparently because like their business relies on them being able to get into a match with a whole bunch of newbies and then Ruffle stomping all over them for highlight reels. It's like, oh my god, that was so fucking funny. That's another thing, like, where genuinely I have a lot of praise for Riot and for their developers and like their game designers is they have put a lot of time and effort into creating matchmaking systems at the highest levels of sophistication. They put a lot of time and energy into trying to make those things work to give players a good experience playing the game, right? Like, you sometimes match into a game with someone who's way beyond you and you have no fucking chance, but that won't be the norm, right? Like, you don't expect that every single game. Like, you expect to go into a game with, like, an emotional experience, at least, that you have a chance of winning if you just play well. And they've been very good at that. So, like, I do have kudos for Riot for that.
So we'll run the test for a while, and then let you know how it's been going and what our next steps are or aren't. This work on matchmaking, however, has meant a trade-off to work elsewhere, to Clash specifically, because the team doing that work is the same team that would otherwise be supporting Clash. For now, as a result, Clash will occur every 2 months instead of monthly.
And last for this section, a bit of context on streamer mode that recently went out. That's been a long requested feature from some players who stream. Given it's one of the things that can help reduce incidents of stream sniping and other forms of streamer harassment or disruption. It's clearly not a solve by itself, but we do think it's a useful part of a wider and ongoing effort. We also wanted to take a moment to talk about what you can expect after we leave Noxus. Historically, our mid-year events have been mostly a time for some levity and lightheartedness, like Star Guardian or Anima Squad. And while this may not be the case for each year's second season, we want Season 2 of 2025 to be a bit of a palate cleanser after so much focus on Noxus.
Now, that said, you can still expect a cohesive thematic that spans things like map art, updates, a new champion, skins, and more. We don't want to spoil what's in store just yet. And we've still got some fun focus on Noxus ahead of us for now. But we'll be back in our next dev update, where we'll dive into what you can expect in Season 2. That's about it for this one.
I'm curious
Don't
about
forget
that.
to check out the dev blog.
Like, I am genuinely curious about how they're going to keep this season thing going, right? Like, having this thematic thing that is expressed in so many different avenues of the game. I am genuinely very curious how they're actually going to manage to do that. Because that's also a very ambitious undertaking, to try and do that with a game like League of Legends, to have like this cohesive seasonal approach. Like, my expectation is fully that it's going to sputter out and sort of it's going to lose a lot of features. It's going to sort of degrade in ambition slowly over time until eventually it settles into a sort of somewhat mediocre but acceptable spot for a while, and then it's going to be retired in favor of something. Because that's kind of the pattern with how this shit happens, right? Is that there's a lot of investment right up front, and this is a pattern with Riot especially. A lot of investment right up front. Tons of investment. Really push, make this thing happen, and then, oh, this doesn't set the world on fire. It doesn't generate infinite growth forever. Oh, maybe next year we'll spend a little bit less, and then a little bit less, and then a little bit less, and then eventually it just goes away. That's the pattern with Riot games. So, like, I'm curious to see whether they can make this stick, this seasonal theming thing.
To learn more about some of the things we talked about today. And as a reminder, the First Stand tournament will be kicking off in Korea on March 10th. So be sure to tune in to watch.
But yeah, no, like, oh my fucking, the Hextech chest thing. These poor guys.
Players.
To have to stand there and say that shit with a straight face. To have to stand there and imply that, oh, Riot Games isn't making enough money. Oh, Riot Games is only pulling in billions of dollars a year. We can't possibly fund the development of the game like this. Oh, good gracious, we're so beleaguered and put upon, and was like, just, I do applaud the nakedness of it. Like, to an extent, I kind of have to respect it that they're so upfront. It's like, yeah, no, we want to extract more money from every person who plays the game. We want to make more money off of all of you fucking bastards. Like, you people are freeloaders. You've been freeloading for too long, and it's ruining the game. You know what? You people are the reason why. That was part of the rhetoric here. Again, I'm sure that's not how Meddler meant it, but that was part of the rhetoric here. It's like, too many people are freeloaders. Too many people are freeloaders. They're getting too much stuff for free. They've had it too easy for too long. Welfare queens just sponging off of Riot Games without, like, paying their dues. Oh, you bastard. Like, we're putting a stop to it. You can't have that anymore. Like, that now everyone has to pay more money for the nakedness of that. I do have to respect it sort of in a begrudging way a little bit, because, like, fuck me, man. That's fucking grim. To stand there and say, with a straight face, on behalf of one of the most successful corporations in the games industry. Like, damn. Just to stand there and say that. Fucking hell. They don't pay him enough. They don't pay either of these guys enough, I'm pretty sure. Or maybe they do. Who knows? Maybe that's why they were willing to say that shit. Again, like, behind the scenes, who knows what's going on? Who knows what the ultimatum was? Who knows what the commandment that came down from on high was? It's like, either do this or else. Like, who knows? Like, who knows what kind of gun has been to their heads? But just to stand there and be like, yeah, no, players are fucking freeloaders. You guys are sponges. You guys are like you're not paying your dues. You're not paying us enough money. Pay us more money. Pay us more money for the things we like. Damn. Again, this just like, I'm cursed with memory. I remember a time when that would have triggered the genuine destruction of the entire company for them to go out and say something like that with a straight face. I remember Horse Armor. I remember the early days of free-to-play. I remember the early days back when there was still, like, cultural resistance to any of this shit before the industry so successfully managed to normalize these monstrous levels of economic exploitation. I remember that. I remember how things used to be. And I know it's old man nostalgia to a point, but things did used to be better in a lot of ways. It used to be when a video game would launch, you could get cosmetics in the game just as part of the game. There would be like, oh, unlock 400 costumes for your character in the game as part of the full game and not as part of a post-release DLC carve-out thing. Like, things used to be better in a lot of ways. Not in all ways. Like, lots of things used to be shittier and worse as well, but the monetization of video games as a product, that used to be so much better. And just seeing them launch gacha skins into the game and then turn around and be like, you people are sponges, you're mooches, you're parasites. You don't pay us enough money. We're not making enough money off of all of you. You get too many things for free while launching $250 gacha skins at the same time. That's like, god damn, man. Fucking hell. I'm not going to sit here and predict the end of League of Legends, by the way. People have been doing this. Oh, this is going to be the thing that kills League. No, it's not. Like, we've been predicting the death of League of Legends since 2014. It's that this is not how it's going to happen. But, like, it is one of those things that's like, that level of enshittification, that level of degradation in quality of service, and increase in the economic exploitation of the users of the product is like that is one of the things that sort of tends to herald a dark time in the life of a company. It really is. So curious to see how all of that shit will shake out. Anyway, this was kind of refreshing. I do enjoy just yelling at Riot Games Incorporated for being shit. I do enjoy that. It's actually kind of a highlight of my day sometimes when I get to do that. It's cheerful. You know, it gets some aggression out of my body. It's nice. Anyway, I am gonna go work on a video, I think. And in the meantime, the rest of you, go to hell. I love you. Bye.